Wait till you what LeBron James said after yet another loss last night. I had friends, like the texts during Laker games are amazing. This is really what happened. I'll give you a real story here, okay? I have a good number of friends. Lakers organization, pretty small organization, and I find them all to be really good people. And they're all this way, right? When you work in an organization and you won a championship 2 years ago, and I've been a supporter of Rob Pelinka before it was cool to be a supporter of Rob Pelinka. I actually liked the coaching hire when they made it a couple years ago. I understood. I think Ty Lue's an outstanding coach. The 3-year contract thing, like, it's still the Lakers. They're still a little bit cheap. They do things their own way, and they were going to find a coach that took the 3-year contract, and they did. And Frank's done a very good job. When they started putting together this roster, I said, I don't know what they're doing. I don't understand. They're taking a team who had their identity as one thing and creating identity as something else. Everybody else has pointed to the age, and we pointed to that. But there's a part about the age which has really changed them. And the overall makeup of the team is just bizarre. So when I heard LeBron say this after the game, I completely understood. Take a listen.
You don't know. We have no idea what this team can be of, and when you have, Trev, who was just his second game back, no K-Nunn. I missed a bunch of games. Now AD's out, a bunch of guys in protocol, our head coach is out. So how can we really fully assess what we have, when we haven't been whole? I can't remember the last time, we, played the same starting lineup. I had the same rotation coming off the bench. It's been a long time, so it's hard to assess that.
He's right. Okay, let's just start with LeBron is right. They're not. You can't appropriately judge a team that has, you can't say, well, they have all these guys, and like Anthony Davis and LeBron James, and LeBron was hurt, now Anthony Davis is hurt. Now, here's the problem with the idea that we can't properly assess how they are when they're hurt, which is fair that we can't properly assess them when they're hurt, is very simply this. You have the oldest roster in the NBA, and the only star that you have that's not old is Anthony Davis, who's constantly hurt anyway. So if you want to say no one could have seen this coming, I would tell you I know more than just me, but I saw this coming. My very first inclination when they added all these older pieces, like, why are they getting older when LeBron is finally starting to break down? Anthony Davis already breaks down, and now you're adding all these other, like, well, Trevor Ariza has been hurt. Yeah, he's old. Kendrick Nunn's is not old, and he's been hurt. But all the other pieces, major pieces, are older. But the bigger part, and this is where if LeBron says we don't have an identity, and I know that part of what he meant is we weren't healthy, but part of it is 2 years ago they were the best defensive team in the NBA. And they knew they wouldn't be as good defensively by adding Russell Westbrook, because the truth is that Russell Westbrook is not a particularly good defensive player. What happens is he's a crazy athlete, and occasionally he'll play really hard. But if you look over an 82-game schedule or you look over a 7-game series, like, he's just not that good a defender. It's like there's parts of Russell Westbrook's game that you're convinced he's good at. You're like, well, he can't shoot, but he's a great finisher. Like, actually, he's not in terms of his finishing numbers at the rim. It's true. He's not. But the biggest issue with the Lakers is when you have older guys, they can't guard the ball. They can't stop anybody. That's it. Can't stop anybody. And I understand that you're between a rock and a hard place with guys out because of COVID and, you got to go get players. But you go get Isaiah Thomas and you start him right away. He couldn't guard anybody before he hurt the hip. Now, really can't guard anybody. You can't hide him. So when LeBron says we can't assess because we haven't been healthy, that's fair. But it's also, he knows they have no identity because they used to be the best defensive team in the league, and they're not going to be the best offensive team in the league. So what are they?